Iran's leadership has firmly rejected the possibility of any meeting between US President Donald Trump and Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, saying such an encounter will not happen, while negotiations between Tehran and Washington remain stalled. In an interview with an international news agency, Mohsen, a senior advisor to the Iranian leader and secretary of Iran's Expediency Discernment Council, said that there is currently no realistic prospect of direct engagement, arguing that the diplomatic process has effectively reached a deadlock and placing responsibility on Washington and specifically Donald Trump to break the impasse. Notably, Mohsen stated that the US has brought negotiations to a standstill and insisted that Iran's frozen overseas assets must be released as a condition for rebuilding trust. He referred to around $24 billion in Iranian funds held abroad, arguing that all these assets belong to Iran and should be unfrozen as a test of US seriousness in the negotiations. He also warned that if the conflict continues and blockades are not lifted, Iran could expand the confrontation beyond the Persian Gulf, potentially extending it to the Indian Ocean, Bab el-Mandab Strait, the Red Sea and the Mediterranean, while also targeting additional US bases and escalating costs for Washington. Separately, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi also downplayed any immediate prospect of a Donald Trump-Khamenei meeting, calling such expectations unrealistic and urging a more grounded view of the situation. His remarks followed comments from the Donald Trump, who had expressed openness to meeting Iran's leadership and suggested that talks could happen depending on how circumstances develop. And the current Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei assumed the position in March following the death of his father and predecessor, Ali Khamenei, who was killed in US-Israel strikes in late February. And since taking office, he has maintained a strong but low-profile presence in national affairs, with officials citing security concerns linked to the ongoing tensions and a fragile ceasefire that has held since early April. Meanwhile, military and regional tensions continue to rise, and the United States has carried out strikes on Iranian coastal radar and surveillance sites after intercepting drones reportedly launched towards the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has also accused Washington of violating the ceasefire agreement and warned that it would hold the US responsible for any escalation. And at the same time, both the sides remain locked in broader disputes over Iran's nuclear program, sanctions relief, frozen assets, and control over strategic waterways such as the Strait of Hormuz. And despite the hardening rhetoric, Donald Trump has publicly maintained that he remains open to a diplomatic solution and believes that the conflict could eventually be resolved, while Iranian officials continue to insist that any meaningful progress depends on the release of Iranian funds and the lifting of economic restrictions. The situation remains tense and unresolved, with both Washington and Tehran holding firm to opposing conditions and warning of consequences if the stalemate continues. That's all for now. Stay tuned to the Savera for more updates. Do like, comment and subscribe to the channel.